Hey everybody, this is Guy with Survive and welcome to the Survive Comeback Tour. The purpose of this video is to lay out some information about where we are in production, some of the breakthroughs we've made, and share all of that exciting progress, as well as talk about the things that got us here and where we need to go from here. So jumping right into it, I just want to talk about the GSO 3.5 and the GSO 6 production. We've got everything ground and we're wrapping those up, and some of those are a little more tedious than others. It's stuff that was done the old way, so things are a little slower getting together, but we're getting that wrapped up. And also we are developing a new formula for our stone wash finish. I've never liked the machine lines and things on our stone wash, so we're just moving in a direction that gets us a really uniform base so that when we do the stone wash, we're just applying a aesthetic look to it rather than trying to hide anything. So you guys will be the first ones to be benefiting from that little breakthrough and getting a preview of what is to come. So beyond those, we are working through the GSO 12s. We're making good headway. We got the bevel grinding fixture set back up, so we're going to get back onto these on the bevel grinder to get those buttoned up. And this is our old doll stone wash. You'll be seeing the updated stone wash very soon. So we're making really good progress here. We were setting up to do sheath templates with the GSO 4.5 Bushcraft, and they were going so well, we just decided to grind them. Those are all done now. We have a few extras over there, but all the orders are done and we're well into some extras. The GSO 4.5 standard, we've gotten that started, and we should have those wrapped up in the next 2 or so weeks. We did get enough samples though to get some product images and send knives off for sheath templating a while. So those are all looking really well. And the GSO 10s are started. We've made good headway on these, and we should have the pre-orders all done in about the next 3 to 4 working days. This is all coming together really well. And really get a good idea of where we've been trying to go and where all of our struggles were. We just had a standard I've been unwilling to budge on, and these grinds are beautiful. The symmetry is really, really good. The grinds are very even and smooth. Our edge uniformity is phenomenal. I'm very, very excited to finally be where we are and to share all of this with you. So we'll have those pre-orders buttoned up very, very soon, sometime next week, and those will get over to finishing. And then next up is the GSO 8, this cute little mini monster. This is also another really exciting model. I know it's came about in a weird way, but we don't have to talk about that. We can just enjoy the design. So we should have this set up and be bevel grinding some samples next week sometime. So that's what's going on. Bevel grinding is going really, really well. We've learned how to do a lot with very little. So Ellie pointed out an interesting thing. We have bevel ground more blades now in 2 months than had happened under Millet in the whole 3 years we were here. So that's a thing. I think in 2 more months we'll have bevel ground more blades than I saw come through the shop under Millet the whole time we were here. So that is really interesting, and I find that to be very motivating about where we're headed. So anyway, the purpose of our comeback tour sort of pre-order campaign is to gain back the energy. Just full disclosure, we put too much energy into Millet. And when we came down here, I'm not a machinist by trade, so we very much relied on them, and we're very trusting. At the time, we didn't know much about machine capacities and what could be done, so it looked like all the answers were here. And a lot of promises were made, and we entered into this with a lot of levity, I think, Ellie, and just high expectations. We put a lot of money down on grinding that never really came to fruition. I mean, for instance, the 3.5s were the job that brought us down here. We got a lot of blades ruined, and in the end, we're the ones that end up grinding most of them as our own manufacturing company. So we put money down in good faith, and that just never really came back around. So I think time and time again we lost energy, and I think from the time that we decided to uproot our lives and come down here till the time that we finally had the confidence to become our own manufacturer. We very much viewed ourselves as intertwined with Millet, and our success was dependent on their success. So we did everything along the way that we could think of to make sure Millet was successful, in the hopes that we could get what we needed from that in the end, and that just never happened. So looking at things like the GSO 3.5 run that ended up being ground incorrectly, we had helped them out in good faith at the time. Our early sample grinding wasn't very good, so we had invested in Millet to buy what they were telling us was newer, more accurate equipment. That was the 2 old Okumas, and yeah, that just didn't really work out. I don't know how to say it any differently. A lot of the blades ended up being ground on their old Fadal machine. They were ground poorly or incorrectly, and when they tried to fix them, something got lost, and they just ended up being in the scrap bin. They were not appropriate for that design. So knowing that they couldn't replace those materials, we replaced the materials and reran them on our equipment at that time, and just that was kind of a rent trade, I think. But I look at some of our energy that disappeared. We have the GSO 10s. We should have a lot more of these, but when Millet made the decision to bring on the Caswell morphing karambit job that ended up going horribly wrong, I believe we ended up trading at cost, I think it was 10 or 11 sheets of 3V that should have been these, that ended up going to that job, and what we got in return was water jet cutting. We gave the material away at cost, and in return we got full retail water jet cutting. So all that energy went away because it was all converted into just rough cut planks. We didn't get much out of that.
No, and that's where we ended up with the backlog at surface grinding, because we had a ton of water jet cutting that got done. The knives got perimeter machined, they got sent to heat treat, and then they came back and they just sat here because the surface grinder couldn't do what we were looking for.
Yeah, the Super Tech at the time,
yeah.
And we'd invested in the Super Tech again, more energy lost, because that's what Millet was familiar with. They told us they could do a better job with a bigger surface grinder. I put a lot of time and effort into refining it, but I knew that wasn't the solution moving forward. That was going to be what we needed to go to where we were trying to go with all of this. So on their way out, we ended up selling that to them for a song and just kind of washing our hands of that. The 2 mills we ended up giving to them. We had bought them out when they had run into some trouble at the time we took over the lease here, and just gave them back to them just debt free, just because I do want to see them succeed if that's possible, but we didn't have similar goals, and I knew where we were going, and they weren't going the same place. So we got the Blanchard, which is doing a phenomenal job, and our throughput is amazing. You guys have seen the updates. It's very mirrory. It's an excellent finish. But yeah, so things are going really well now, but I lost a lot of energy in trying to make it work with Millet. I mean, not to sound bitter, but if you have an S90V Torrent, that's because of us. I gave them steel, hoping that would get them back on the right track with some of their own product. On paper, the margins made sense, so it made sense to help them try to get everything back on track, I'll say. I mean, we carried the lease here for 16 months. They didn't pay any rent, and we really tried everything, I think, to try and make sure they were successful, and in turn we were successful, and that investment didn't pay off. So I'm sorry, I'm not blaming anybody. Some of that just bears explaining. We really went into this with the best of intention and poured a lot of resources into this for this to not work out. But along the way, we've invested in first the 2 Haas's to try and help them do a better job and to increase their throughput when that didn't work. We kept investing in equipment, and a byproduct of that is we now have everything that we need to be a full production company. So yeah, that's kind of what led us to here, and just where we're sort of lacking that energy to get to where we need to get to really quickly to grow into everything that we've created here. We have all the solutions, we're able to meet our goals, we're actually exceeding our goals. The GSO 12s, 3.5, 6s, 4.5s, 8s, and 10s should either be out of here or on their way out of here by the time that the GSO 5.1s come back from heat treat and we start to grind them. I honestly think that they're all going to be done just waiting on sheaths. It takes a little while to get sheaths set up, but the knives themselves should be done in the next few weeks. I'm very excited about that and just really blessed to have an excellent team around us. So the thrust of the campaign that we're rolling out, we're not really offering any new pre-orders. We're just going to focus on the things that are already in production. We've already got some units cut or they're somewhere in process. And we just really are hoping you guys will get involved to help us bolster these runs to bootstrap up to where we need to be. We really need to focus on getting a lot more consumables. At the rate that I'm grinding right now, I'm probably going to be going through a Blanchard wheel a week. So we need to get some of those because of the back order times on some of these parts. We need a massive ramp up in materials to get us to that place where we can start to, at least on our core models like the GSO 4, 5.1, and 10, to have what we're working toward of having constant stock, at least of a few models. And then as we start to pick up speed and can hire some additional people, get to a better place to where we have more and more in stock and available at all times. So anyway, really hope you guys get involved. If you've been hanging out, sitting back watching everything, please place an order. We're totally willing to pay for that. We can talk about the tier discounts and different things in our next video. But now's the time to get involved. We've got everything. We know we can meet our goals and do a good job. And we're really ready to just show you guys what we can do as a manufacturer. So anyway, stand by for the next video and we'll explain things a little bit in greater detail.